A landlord in Florida is refusing to rent to tenants who are unvaccinated. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have quite the interesting article for you today, and it's going over what a landlord in Florida is doing in terms of vaccination status for his tenants. Now, he's demanding that, he won't rent to anyone who is unvaccinated. And to me, it's going to be a huge issue for him in the future, and it's a very bad business decision in my opinion. So I have a great article here, and before I get into the article though, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know if you would personally impose a vaccine mandate for your rental properties. Okay, now it's not something that I would do, but everyone is going to be different, and how everyone responds to the coronavirus and all the things that are happening right now is going to be different. So this article, it comes from tylerpaper.com, and it says, one landlord is making tenants get vaccinated. Whether it's legal is still undecided. If you're not vaccinated for COVID-19, you can forget about moving into any of 8 apartment complexes in Broward and Miami-Dade counties owned by Santiago A. Alvarez and his family. And if you're still unvaccinated when it comes time to renew your lease, you'll have to find someplace else to live. Alvarez, who controls 1,200 units in the 2 counties, is the first large-scale landlord known to national housing experts to impose a vaccine requirement not only for employees, but also for tenants. They'll be required to produce documentation that they've received at least an initial vaccine dose. Wow. Okay, now, this is the kind of thing that it's bad for business. Okay? You're imposing a vaccine mandate in your apartment complexes when no other apartment complex anywhere else where you do business has that vaccine mandate. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Okay, those tenants are going to leave. Those good tenants who want to apply, who are unvaccinated, they're never going to apply, and it's going to be a bad thing for you. Now, I don't understand the logic behind this sort of thing. Now, we all know from looking at everything that's happening right now that even people who are vaccinated can still become infected and in some cases still die. So it's not like having this vaccine mandate is going to prevent the infection from spreading. Instead, it's going to push away good tenants, and that's not what you want to see as a business owner. So, in my opinion, this doesn't make much sense. Now, especially not for a very large landlord like this. This is someone who owns 1,200 units in 8 apartment complexes. That is not a small landlord, okay? Now, if you owned 1 or 2 properties and you personally wanted to do this, that's one thing. But when you have 1,200 units like this, that tells me that you have a lot of investors who depend upon you to, get a return for them, to make them a profit. And when you have investors like that, it even suggested that when it said that Alvarez and his family control. Well, it says they own the apartment complexes here in the article, but it says Alvarez, who controls 1,200 units in the 2 counties. So when they say something like that, that usually leads me to believe that the person is a syndicator, right? And that means they have investors who put up the money for them to run these apartment complexes. And he might be a principal investor, the person who's in charge, but he's not the 100% owner. So when you respond to investors, if all of your investors are saying, hey, get us the best profit possible, but then you're purposefully excluding a large portion of tenants, that doesn't make much sense. The policy, which took effect August 15th, could set Alvarez's company on a collision course with Governor Ron DeSantis' vaccine passport ban, which prohibits businesses from requiring that customers be vaccinated. And yet the landlord might have exposed a loophole in the governor's ban, forcing courts to decide whether a tenant is equivalent to a customer. Alvarez says he's not backing down. Signs posted at the leasing offices of his apartment complexes spell out that the policy, along with the words zero tolerance. Yeah, I mean, if this violates the state law in the state of Florida, which, the governor of Florida is very much against vaccine mandates, then this could be a huge problem. Now, speaking about me personally, I have no problem with people making decisions on their own when it comes to their own health. Okay, so I don't believe in vaccine mandates either. I don't believe in any sort of mandate. I've always believed that it should be up to the individual, or in the case of children, up to their parents in order to make medical decisions, okay? There's a lot of reasons why people don't want to take the vaccines. And there's a lot of reasons people would want to take the vaccine, but why are they trying to force people to take this, okay? I mean, it doesn't seem like, when it comes to the freedoms of individuals, that they want to take our freedoms and our rights away. And this goes back to the eviction moratorium, where our freedoms are being trounced upon by the government during this pandemic, and this can lead to a very, very bad thing overall, in my opinion. We have to be concerned about our tenants and our employees, Alvarez said in an interview. All of these are private properties. We're just trying to keep people safe and healthy. It's going to cost us money, but we're very firm on that. Alvarez said 12 to 15 of his tenants, most of whom lived at his properties in Hialeah, have died of COVID-19, and a larger number have gotten sick. We don't want that happening to any more of our tenants, he said. Well, the problem is, though, that people can still die. People die, okay? That's just the way life happens, okay? We cannot prevent people from dying. We cannot force people to do things they don't want to do, trying to keep people alive. I mean, what are you going to do next? Are you going to make it so that people have to wear masks in their units too? Are you going to, impose that in order to prevent COVID, everyone has to wear gloves and goggles, and, everyone has to live in a bubble? I mean, come on, just because you own the property doesn't mean that you can impose these views on your tenants. And the fact that you're saying that you will lose money, well, keep in mind, this isn't, if you're a syndicator, then this is investor money. This isn't your personal money, okay? Your investors depend upon you to make good business decisions. And the lifestyle of my tenants, what my tenants do in their lives is not my business, okay? My business is rental property landlord, okay? So if my tenants are doing risky behaviors and, other stuff that isn't the best for their health, that isn't my business to tell them that they can't do that. And it's not your business either, in my opinion. In Broward County, Alvarez owns 3 complexes in Lauderhill, Royal Palms at Lauderhill, and Invery Village on Northwest 56th Avenue, just south of West Oakland Park Boulevard, and Park West Apartments on Northwest 46th Avenue. Outside of Royal Palms at Lauderhill, tenants voiced differing opinions about the policy. I think people should get the shot, said a young woman who declined to give her name. But a man said he was vaccinated, said Alvarez is overstepping his bounds. That should be illegal, he said of the policy. You can't force people to do what they don't want to do. After they learned about the new policy, 2 tenants who don't plan to get vaccinated contacted local eviction defense attorneys about potentially challenging the policy in court. Looming clash with DeSantis. Under the DeSantis-backed ban on vaccine passports, landlords could be subject to a $5,000 fine every time they ask a prospective tenant for documentation, said DeSantis' press secretary, Christina Pushaw, after conferring with the governor's legal counsel. Pushaw said she hadn't previously heard of any Florida landlords requiring proof of vaccinations. And I hope that DeSantis gets right on it, because this landlord, he's gone too far, in my opinion, okay? So, I realize that he thinks that, this is the best thing to do, but I think it is imposing a burden upon these tenants. It's too much, okay? This guy, pushing his views onto his tenants. Well, first of all, the tenants should move out. Okay, in my opinion, they should just leave. They should just, let this guy, let his business fail. I know that housing is hard to find right now, but dealing with this kind of stuff is just, it's not worth it. Okay, so, I mean, this is a crazy situation. I mean, I hope that DeSantis gets on this guy because, if this goes against the law, his law, and I don't believe in mandates, then this guy deserves whatever fines and punishment that he gets for breaking it. But most of all, I'm really just worried about our freedoms and our rights here in this country. They've already shown that they want to take away property rights from people, and now we have businesses who are trying to impose mandates on vaccines for people living in their property. I mean, come on, tenants shouldn't be put into this sort of situation. If you have an ideological difference with your tenant, then it has nothing to do with their tenancy, then you need to just leave that alone.